beautiful artists, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Along with Skye. Today we are painting Monet's Water Lily Bridge. It's going to be a paint the grate, a little bit more simplified version of this though, to keep it easy for everybody. So we're gonna take every step of the way, step by step, show you how to do everything. If you're new here, welcome. I post beginning painting tutorials every Saturday, so hit subscribe if that sounds like something that's going to be fun for you. Today we're going to be using 3 brushes, the 3 standard brushes that we use in the class. So this is a large flat brush, I have a medium-sized pointed brush, and then also a small detail brush. I like to use Simply Simmons brushes. The majority of my brushes are Simply Simmons. I'm using a full rainbow of paints here, and actually I have more colors even that I'm going to use in the second part, but we're going to do this painting today in 2 steps. So there's going to be the background layer, then we're going to let it dry, and we're going to come back, and because there's going to be so much color mixing with this painting, I'm probably going to use 2 of these palette sheets because there's going to be a lot of color mixing and this is going to get very messy, so we'll throw that away at break and come back with new fresh colors. Okay, if you are curious as to what paints that I recommend, check the description box below. You will find a link to my website that will suggest all the different materials that I like to use for my classes. But the colors that we're using today, this is going to be a phthalo green. I know that looks really dark, but that's a phthalo green. I also have like a grass green, like a true green. I have a bright yellow. I have ultramarine blue, black and white, and then I have brown and a pinch of orange. And again, this is just going to be used for the background step. Okay, so take those 3 brushes and put them in a cup of water. I've put mine off the screen here so I don't shake the table. Make sure you have either a rag or some paper towels as well. I do have an apron on, which is a good idea to protect your clothes from the acrylic paint. Okay, so let's jump right into it. The first thing that we're going to do is cut our canvas sort of in half horizontally here and create a horizon line. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that with my big brush. You want a little bit of water on there. I'm sorry, my neighbors are doing yard work. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but alas. A little bit of that ultramarine blue and a fair amount of white and just a really light blue. And with this light blue, I'm just going to create a horizon line, just cutting that canvas right in half. Okay, and now I have that light blue on my brush. I'm going to go in the upper corner here, upper left-hand corner, and then also in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm just going to get some blue on there. That's going to be the sky poking out from behind our trees. And you don't need to cover the entire canvas, the top part here, with this blue. Just a little bit on either side. And maybe a little bit kind of right in the middle there too. Acrylic is all about layering from the background to the foreground. So we're starting with just a little bit of sky blue in the background here. Now also with that big brush, I'm just going to grab a little bit more paint and I'm going to streak my way across the bottom part here. Also just adding like what will be reflection of the sky. So just getting a little bit of blue in there where our pond is going to be. Okay. This painting is going to be very much a mirror of itself. So there's going to be this top garden part and then there's going to be a reflection of it below. So you'll notice this pattern of it being top part and then similar but in the bottom part as a reflection. Slightly different brush stroke though. So this is going to be more textured and this will be more smooth to give it that reflection effect, but getting ahead of myself. Okay, and now we're going to do some trees in the background. I'm going to still use that big brush, but I'm going to clean it off. Okay, now let's mix up a light green. So I'm going to use a little bit of this grass green and mix it with a little bit of white, and I can even grab a pinch of yellow if I want. And I'm going to, here in this little white area that I made for myself, I'm going to begin to lay some light green, building up the tree from the background to the foreground. And this tree is very much, this whole painting is very much impressionist. So we don't need to worry about it looking very realistic. It's all about the end effect. So just bring it to the edge of where your pond is going to be, so the edge of that horizon line. And I did add a little bit of sort of like a darker green in there as well. Okay, now I'm going to grab a little bit of brown on an unwashed brush, and maybe a little bit of white too. I'm going to start adding some different colors green in there. So this is a brownish. Still have a little bit of green on the brush, so getting a sort of brownish green on there. And some areas are going to be a little bit darker. So just starting to create that shadow. That's okay that I went a little bit in there. So I'll clean that up later and it can be part of the reflection. But try to keep your horizon line somewhat straight and clean. Okay, that's looking good. Let's grab a little bit of white. We're going to start to add some highlights. Definitely going to need more white. Just not washing my brush. And then more shadows. So a little bit of green. You can darken your green with a little bit of black. I'm going to do that mostly in the middle here. Starting to get some tree-like elements. This is maybe a tree that has a lot of brush at the bottom, so you can't see the bottom of it. So we're just going to kind of put some shadows down there and just layering up different colors of green here. And the overall effect is going to give us that garden look. I'm really trying to mix up my brush strokes too, so that I create a lot of different textures. Okay, I think I'm going to do just a little bit more of a darker green. Right in the middle there. And along the bottom. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to rinse my brush. And I'm going to do this one. So the first color that I'm going to work with is going to be a light greenish yellow. So it's going to be white, green, and yellow. Nice bright green. And this is like a willow tree. So the brush strokes are going to be these downward like pulls. So you pull your brush down in all these different directions. Like so. And I'm again just not rinsing my brush in between colors, allowing it to be messy. And you want to bring it all the way out to cover, to go into a little bit of your sky. So you have a nice clean line where the two colors meet. Pulling it down. Different tones of green is fine. And then once you get to the bottom, you might want to just do a little pull up so that you can go along the bottom fairly cleanly. Okay, that's the first tone there, and then highlights and shadows. So I'm going to start with highlights, the nice light yellow, layering the different colors. Lots and lots of different tones. Highlights and then some shadows. Now for the shadows, I'm going to pull a little bit of this phthalo in. You can see that nice deep green color. same kind of brush strokes each time. Just trying to layer in those different colors. You want to bring it pretty far over. You don't want to have too much sky visible still. This is just the first layer. Lots more colors will be layered on this. Okay. Whatever different colors of green you like, ultimately. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to make it a little bit fatter. That looks pretty good. Okay. And then I think a little bit of blue in this will look really nice too as a shadow. Very pretty colors. A little bit of that ultramarine just streaking through using the side of our brush. There we go. Looks nice. Okay. I'm going to rinse my brush again. And I'm going to get some more white on here. Okay. Still using that big brush. Now we're going to go a little bit down here in our pond. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a nice light green. So more of that light green, similar to the color that we started with over on our willow tree. I'm going to fill in the rest of the space here at the bottom with the back and forth brush strokes. And I want to see a little bit of my blue still in that pond. So don't fully cover that, but you do want to kind of bring it in a little bit. A little bit of water always helps the paint go nice and smooth. Really light with this first color. Okay, that looks good. And now we're going to create a little bit of a reflection. So I'm still just using that big brush. It's very versatile in that I'm using the side. And I'm going to just use the same colors that I used in the top part there to create my two different trees. I'm going to bring those colors down into my pond. So I'm going to start with dark green right underneath here. You just want to do a couple little brush strokes, mirroring whatever's on the top, down into the water. So just a little bit of shadow there. You can also use your medium brush for this if you're getting too big of brush strokes. Creating a little reflection there. And then that was the dark colors, so I'm going to use the light colors now to do the same thing, but they would be on the top part here. Okay, so reflection of the top here. in the water below. That's looking good. Okay, other side. I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. So bringing those colors that I created this tree with down below. So let's start with a little bit of that dark blue, very pretty. I'm gonna mix in a little bit of green. Starting with the shadows closest to the trees up at that horizon line. There we go, just a little bit there. Looking good. Okay. Let's take a little bit of the light greenish yellow, just mixing a little bit more. Kind of medium green as well. All the colors that were in the top, bringing it down into the water. Remember the water, this is water too, so don't just cover your blue, bring it all the way down here. You want to have a little bit of blue left in the center. Okay, I think that looks good for now. Let's go ahead and take a break. Should have all of your canvas filled in right here. At this point, no white canvas left, and then we're going to let this dry and we're going to add our next layer. And I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes or so. Let it dry fully. Okay, welcome back. Dry canvas, fresh colors. Black and white, those two greens again. So phthalo and grass green. I have some red later for my blossoms and some blue for my bridge. I cleaned my brushes and I also got some fresh water. So let's grab our big brushes again, and we are going to add now some reeds that are going to surround our pond. So the first color, I'm going to work from dark to light. So the first color is going to be my darkest, and I have a pretty dry brush here. And the color that I'm going to use is a very dark green. So green and black. Okay, now I want very, very little water. I'm just going to place my brush on the outside and flick it up, pulling it up, creating shadows along that back edge of our little pond here. You want to kind of overlap it so that you're not getting really chunky brush strokes. You just want that really gentle, sort of fuzzy looking effect. We're just going to pull that all the way across our canvas along the horizon line. Will be the darkest color, adding some really nice definition between the two parts of the painting. Gently pulling it up. Very little water. Okay. I'm going to do that same thing now, but along the front edge. So you want to keep your brush strokes going up and down. And what you want to do is pull it all the way across the bottom part of the canvas as well. And then especially in this corner here. So this is like a little pathway to where the bridge goes. So there's reeds that grow along the pond's edge, all along the side here. Okay, looks great. Go ahead and retire that brush, and we're going to use our baby brushes now. And I'm going to create a light green very light, almost sort of minty green. I'm going to go right on top of where I just did that black with those very gentle little brush strokes. Placing them right on the horizon line as well. And you want these brush strokes to be a little bit taller over here on the right. And they're going to get kind of smaller as you work your way all the way over. This is sort of a tedious step, but quite meditative. Use this opportunity perhaps to talk to you guys about the art club, which is my Facebook group that I created as an art share. So if you're painting along and you want to share your masterpiece, I would love if you posted it in the art club. I'm also launching a Patreon this week. I actually launched it a couple days ago. It's in the official announcement stage right now. I have one patron, very excited, which is the hardest one to get really when you start a new concept. So that is going to include monthly live Q&As with me face to face, where you can ask questions about the projects like you would with an art teacher. It's also going to include supply giveaways and a monthly bonus project that you guys will get to vote on. So check that out. There's links in the description below that will tell you more all about that. So again, trying to make them a little bit taller on the right. And I'm actually going to add a little bit of black into the ones on the right here because I should have gone further up from before. Okay, that looks great. And then you're just going to pull it along the front here as well. Very nice. That medium green. Little flicks of the wrist. This corner you might have a few that kind of overlap. Very nice. All the way across. I'm just using a slightly darker green over here because that green that I was using is very similar to the background green, so I want it to show up. So I'm going a little bit lighter and a little bit darker so that I have more variation here. Perfect. Looks good. Same idea. I wanted to kind of have them be taller on one side. So I'm kind of playing around with a little bit of the black again, that dark green. Kind of frames everything nicely. Okay, and then one more color, which is going to be white or like very, 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 very light green. So I'm just kind of mix where the green already was here. So this is already the perfect color. And just very lightly adding a little bit of the lightest color in, like so. Highlights, shadows, that's what it's all about. It's okay to see a little bit of canvas texture, that's fine. No one's going to be looking at your painting with a magnifying glass. Kind of overlapping some, also kind of filling in that negative space. And up in our front area as well. Okay, that looks good. Well, a little bit too heavy-handed with my white over there, so create the balance however you see fit. I'd like to add just a little bit more green over here. There we go. Okay, I like that. All right, I'm gonna rinse my brush. And now, before I create my bridge, I'm going to do a little bit of work here in the pond area. The first thing that I'm going to do is a little bit more reflection of the sky, especially in these areas. So that's the reflection of the sky and also just the blue of the pond. So a little bit of blue mixed with white here. I have my tiny brush. I'm just going to come in here and just add a pinch more blue. Just a layer on top of that green and sort of all over. Very light brush strokes. The idea is that we kind of go over these areas again and again, and it's creating this lovely tiled effect. That is the impressionist goal here, is to kind of lay the colors next to each other, and then the eye puts it together. Breaking up each area. Okay. That looks good. Now let's add some lily pads. Use my same baby brush. Little detail brush, and just with like a green with maybe just a pinch of black, but not too dark, we're going to create our lily pads. So you can do as many little areas of lily pads as you'd like. I think I'm going to do like 3 main ones. The first one I'm going to do right kind of off center here in the front. Now in the front, they're going to be the largest. And what you want to do is kind of just create these little ovals that sort of pile on top of each other. And they're going to create what I call piles of ovals. It's going to be sort of an oval shape when you're all said and done as well. So kind of oval shape there. And the ones that are at the bottom here are going to be the biggest. Okay. And I kind of made it a little bit asymmetrical. And then I'm going to do one over here as well. However many look good to you. You want to just make them littler as you go back. Bigger in the front. You guys can hear my dog snoring. Super cute. Okay, a couple little areas there. You can have some that are just kind of by themselves as well here and there. However many you like. I'm going to grab a little bit of a darker version. I'm going to go back on each one of these, and I'm going to create just a little shadow right underneath. Little flick of the wrist, like so. It's going to give a nice little definition where our lily pads are floating on the water. The ones that are on the back, you might just kind of tap the color in rather than having the little line. Just little shadows on each one. Okay. I'm going to rinse my brush. The second thing that I'm going to do with that color is I'm going to create a little bit of shadow in the water as well. So really this is just like the smallest little step, but just a few little horizontal brush strokes in each of those areas gives the reflection of the lily pads. Keeping it horizontal. Tiny little brush strokes. Okay. And then a little bit of a highlight, so rinsing my brush again. And just one last color on those lily pads, which is just going to be a light green. You're just going to tap that into the other side here and there. You don't have to do every single one. Just a touch of the brush. Nice and loose. Okay. Let's add a little bit of color. Let's add some blossoms. Same baby brush. We are going to use that medium brush though with our last step, which is going to be the bridge, which is arguably the most important part. Create a little bit of pink. And with this pink, you're just going to go on top of a few of those lily pads. It might blend to green. So make sure and use a lot of paint. And just tap in a little blossom on some of those lily pads. Just right on top. Not as big as the lily pad, of course, so that you can see the pad is still. Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit of a darker red, darker pink with more red. And just sort of touch in each one of those as well. It's fun if these have a little bit of texture. Okay. All right, let's do our bridge. It's going to be a very important step. I might pull through some of these colors. So if you are pressed for time, you can keep painting with me. Or if we wanted to be better, I would let this dry a few seconds. But I feel like just painting anyway. So that's with acrylic, you can always clean it up as you go, as it does dry. So I'm not going to hurt anything by doing that. So I'm going to use my medium-sized brush and I'm going to create my bridge now. So this is the most important part. Going to just start with a medium blue, so that's blue and white, not all the way dark, not all the way light, just right in the middle. medium brush, nice smooth batch of medium blue. Okay, now what's helpful sometimes for my students to do is to do two little dots where we're going to connect our bridge here. And I'm pretty much just going to center this on the bridge. You can have it kind of off-centered as well. You know, like maybe having it come more from this little pathway area. I think the original is not fully centered, but I'm going to center mine today. So I'm going to go about an inch down from either center line or either horizon line. I'm just going to create a little dot. And then I'm going to eyeball like right the middle of my canvas, and I'm going to go about an inch up from those two dots, and then I'm going to connect the dots. Slowly creating a thicker line. I'm trying to make it as even as I can. Okay, not too bad. I feel like the dots kind of threw me, but if that helps, then go for it. But my best words of advice is to just kind of start small, start with a thin line. That way as you thicken it, you can kind of straighten it out. Okay, and then I'm going to create another curved line just a few inches above that. Nice. You just want to go back over and thicken it up to be a nice, thick, medium blue line. Doing my best to straighten it as I go. See the whole picture. All right, and then I'm going to create the vertical lines here for the bridge. So you can start in the center and then just work out from there. I ended up with an odd number, which is fine, however many you end up with. You just want to try to space them evenly apart. So I probably would have one like right on the edge here. So for the sake of continuity, we'll go ahead and add that. Okay, and then with my baby brush, I'm just going to create some highlights and shadows in this bridge now. So just with that dark blue, I'm going to add a little bit of black to it to create an even darker navy blue. And I'm going to go along the bottom of my bridge, wet on wet blending here. Just adding that in there, darkening the bottom. Okay. Same thing up top. Blending it into the blue. And then on each of these vertical brush strokes, you're going to go on the left hand side here. So all just on one side. Okay, rinsing the brush again. I'm just going to add some highlights. It's not the straightest bridge in the world, but I'm okay with it. So just a little bit of very light blue now. Along the top part. And on the right hand side. It's okay if your brush strokes are messy, stylized. That's what we're going for. Okay. Final little piece de resistance step here is going to be to create the reflection of the bridge below. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of that medium blue again, and I'm going to create essentially the mirror image just along those two outside edges, because the reflection would be beyond where we can see. So just a few curved brush strokes there creates the reflection of the bridge, and you can also kind of break that up with a few horizontal brush strokes as well. Add whatever other final touches that you'd like. I feel like a little bit of dark blue would be nice. Since I don't have that, just a little bit of shadow on the outside edges. And now that I added that dark blue, I'm like, I think I want to add a little bit of dark green as well. Really dark green. Just along the outside edges. Okay. Let me know what you thought of today's masterpiece in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you liked this painting. I do hope that you'll subscribe and paint along with us every Saturday. If you hit the little bell icon, it will let you know when I post a new video. I do hope to see you guys over in the art club, or maybe even in Pause Premium. Check out the description box for more information about all of that. I had a great time showing you guys this painting today. I hope you did as well. Until next time, stay creative.